Let's move on, though. Going away from the Broncos, moving into the Packers.
You just spoiled the topic.
I did. I spoiled the topic that we're getting into in 2 seconds. But moving away from the Broncos, moving into the Packers. And that kind of spell. I know I'm not a Bears fan, but it just didn't feel right to say that. Da Bears. All right, that feels a lot better, even though I'm a Vikings fan. But news we're talking about the Packers is usually with the Packers, we're not talking about them trading up because they like to build through free agency and get veterans and not really get rookies. But there are reports coming out, from ESPN.
Just real quick. That was sarcasm, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah, very sarcastic.
I don't know. Something about the YouTube comments lately have been rough.
Especially on that Trae Young side.
Yeah.
The Trae Young sighting. But what is being reported is that the Packers are looking to maybe trade up, especially if one of 3 guys is available. If a Denzel Ward, Minkah Fitzpatrick, or Derwin James fall in this draft. So the question I want to ask you, Sean, is not should they, because we talked about should so much in this podcast. Give me a hard stance. Will the Packers trade up for one of the top DBs?
No, because I think they possibly have the opportunity to get one at that 14 spot. And it's none of the guys you just mentioned. Josh Jackson from Iowa. Stay in the Big Ten. Stay in the Midwest. Go get him at corner. I think if those 3 players in Minkah, Derwin James, and Denzel Ward are still off the board, you still have the prime opportunity to take a great corner in Josh Jackson at that 14 spot. Maybe it will be a little bit of a reach in some people's eyes, but I honestly think that he is such a ball hawk, and playing up against the opponents that he did, in the Big Ten, playing constantly great opponents in the Big Ten, going up against quarterbacks that might not be NFL prospects. J.T. Barrett was great at Ohio State. Obviously not Alex Hornibrook from Wisconsin. But he was consistently playing pro-style offenses in the Big Ten. He was consistently playing great offensive lines and talents on the outside. I think that Josh Jackson can translate that to the NFL, and I don't think they need to give up draft capital because this Packer team, they need to replenish what they've lost the last couple of years, and I don't think they've been able to do that. I think they need to get back on the winning side and not waste the years of Aaron Rodgers. And I think that you can still get a good starting cornerback in Josh Jackson without trading up. And I think the only guy that I would, if the Packers were to trade up, would be Derwin James out of Florida State. I think that a pairing of him in the secondary and in the safety positions with him and Clinton-Dix, playing the free safety, and then Derwin playing the strong, I think could be a really nice combo. But then again, I wouldn't be desperate enough if I am the Packers to trade up and make that move.
Well, for me, here's the way I see it is if you want, I'll even add Josh Jackson. So if you want any of the top 4 defensive backs, you have to trade up because Derwin James, I'll start with him because that's who you mentioned. I'm starting to think, I know Mark and I mentioned about Derwin in the Chargers segment we did where I could see him being selected anywhere from like 10 all the way down to the Chargers at 19. Like that's how big his range is. But now I'm starting to get kind of the feeling that the Redskins are usually a team that what I want them to do or what I mock them to do, because for the past 2 or 3 years, it's felt like I've always mocked them to get that run stopper in the middle of the defensive line. And they go, that's nice, Ricky, but we're going to go ahead and do this. How's it worked out for you? How you doing in your division? But and that's not a knock on Redskin fans. That's a knock on Dan Snyder. But with the Packers, I feel like Derwin James will probably be gone by the Redskins. You've got pick 12, whether it's the Bills or what both you and I just said, if the Broncos get that pick, Broncos could be going cornerback there. So there's your Josh Jackson. And I don't think Minkah and Denzel fall out of the top 10. So if you're Green Bay, if you want one of these top 4 defensive backs, the only way to do it is to trade up. The question is with whom are you going to trade up? And the only 2 teams that I could see, them making a trade with is if they want to trade all the way up to 6 to get Denzel Ward, or if they want to trade all the way up to 9 to get whoever falls. Because the 2 teams in between, the Buccaneers also need a cornerback, and the Bears, I just don't see the Bears and the Packers making a trade.
Well, the Bucs, I think that's a prime spot for Derwin James. And I think the thing
or
is,
Denzel Ward, they need a corner as well.
yeah, I think the thing is, you look at, and I was talking to a Bucks fan on Reddit. He was saying that Minkah isn't really a great fit for Tampa.
Chris Conte's also one of your starting safeties in Tampa.
But the thing is that right now
it's not a good thing.
Right now is they have the free safety spot locked down in Tampa, and Minkah is more of a free safety, and they need more of a strong safety because of Chris Conte.
Yeah.
And then Minkah is not really an outside corner, more of an inside corner at that nickel spot, but that's where they've been playing Vernon Hargreaves. You just drafted Vernon Hargreaves, and while he hasn't been great out there, it's way too early to give up on him. So I don't think Minkah is really a great fit for Tampa. I think Derwin James, again, he's a Florida kid from that area, could really be really be a great addition to that secondary at that strong safety spot.
I'm sitting on the other side with the Buccaneers of I think Denzel Ward's the guy that they would target. Only because nothing against Vernon Hargreaves, he's the guy you're thinking about. Well, no, I look at the other side. You just signed Brent Grimes to only a 1-year deal. He's not like you re-signed him just so you could have a starter just in case you don't want to take a corner in the top 10.
No, I'm not saying they shouldn't go corner. Denzel, I think if you're going to go corner, Denzel should be the pick.
Well, because I mean,
for Tampa.
Look at us. We just had the top 5. He's not there. Do you think he goes at 6? Is the question. Do you think Denzel goes at 6?
And possibly.
Because if he doesn't, I got Bradley Chubb there. I know you had Chubb going 2.
I'm going 4.
Or 4.
To Cleveland.
I think Bradley Chubb then goes to the Colts, and there's no way the Bucs pass on Ward.
With the Bucs is what I'm thinking. If Ward is there, take him. If not, Derwin James, and then Minkah. I think Minkah is probably the second best. I would put Ward first, Minkah second, Derwin third. But fit-wise, I think probably Denzel Ward is the better player and also a good fit on the outside. Again, they have that nickel locked up. You need to get that outside corner. You already have Grimes on the other side. So you have Ward there on the outside, and then if not, you could fill that strong safety spot with Derwin James. And then, the Bears could go corner if Denzel Ward is out there. Maybe Minkah, but I know, we don't really need a secondary spot. It's just really, do you believe that he's going to be a franchise changer? I know that it's been floated out that Oakland might want a Derwin James. So, again, looking at the Packers' needs, it's really in that secondary, though. It's at cornerback. They have Kevin King. He's still young. I'm a fan of him.
Just drafted him last year.
Yeah, I'm a fan out of him from Washington. So
is that why you want him to go Josh Jackson, pair the Iowa backs in the backfield?
Iowa backs?
Yeah, Kevin King and Josh Jackson are both Iowa guys.
Kevin King's from Washington.
No, I thought he was from Iowa.
He's from Washington.
Okay, then I was wrong.
That's why I'm a fan of him, because he's from Washington.
I thought
why I know it.
I thought he was the defensive back from Iowa.
No.
No, you're right. Yeah, I'm wrong.
I know. Come on. But Kevin King and then a guy like Josh Jackson on the outside could be really nice. And then playing free safety. You probably need to secure that strong safety position. But again, that's where Derwin James comes in. I just feel, though, again, those 3 guys, I think Denzel Ward, if he's available, will probably go to Indianapolis or Tampa Bay. Chicago will take Denzel Ward, probably will be the last spot. So I think his range is 6 to 8. Derwin James comes into play at that 7 spot.
And can we both agree that there's no way Ryan Pace and the Packers work out a deal because you're not going to help out a divisional opponent?
The only one I could probably throw out there would be maybe San Francisco. If San Francisco feels like they can move back to that 14 spot, pick up some draft capital, because
they've traded back before.
Yeah, we've seen John Lynch be aggressive like that, and at least know the guys that he wants. And if he feels like, hey, maybe not Vita Vea, because they don't need a defensive tackle.
However, the thing that the Niners have to worry about is the whole Reuben Foster thing. Exactly. Do we have to take a guy like Roquan Smith at 9?
But that's the thing. If they take Roquan Smith, you're not worried about them taking a defensive back.
Yeah.
But then if you take Roquan Smith, then the Raiders...
Are the Raiders going to trade back?
What are the Raiders
going to do? Dolphins going to trade back? I don't see that.
It's funky. The team that I know we just talked about last time with the whole Denver Broncos thing about trading up would be the Bills. If the Bills don't trade up and there's not a quarterback there, maybe they slide back. Maybe they've exhausted all options. All top 4 guys are off, and they're not a fan of Lamar Jackson at 12. What if they move back if the Packers are so desperate? Because at 13, who's picking 13?
Redskins.
Redskins don't need a quarterback. So you're not really worried about that happening. So if you feel like...
So you're talking the Packers moving up. So you're talking the Bills trading with the Broncos.
Let's say...
Then the Broncos moving back from 12 to 14 again?
Top 4 quarterbacks are off the board.
Yeah. Well, top 3, because the Browns aren't going to go double quarterback.
top four would be Browns going quarterback, Giants going quarterback, Jets going quarterback,
and then the Bills
Broncos.
at 5 or Broncos.
Broncos.
So you're saying the Broncos make the pick?
Well, this is just hypothetical. Hypothetical. We don't know what the hell's going to happen.
True.
Right?
I'm trying to go off of what we said in the last segment.
I know. But I don't have the Back to the Future sportsbook out here. I'm just trying to play out a situation.
The almanac.
Yeah, I'm trying to play out a situation that will happen, that could possibly happen where the Bills do trade back. Top 4 quarterbacks are off the board.
Yeah.
In some
the first
way,
5.
hell, let's say the Broncos don't take their guy and Josh Allen goes to the Bills. This only works if the Bills don't trade up, all right? So
the Bills aren't trading up.
The Bills aren't trading up.
Okay.
Let's just, again, this is a hyperbole. Bills don't trade up at 12.
You can then trade back with the Packers because you can take Lamar at 14.
They like Lamar Jackson, but you can probably pick up more capital. Redskins aren't going to take him at 13. You slide back. Packers move up, and they take a guy like maybe Minka falls all the way to 12 in some way.
And this is me being 2K Ricky. Then what if the Cardinals go, we got to call the Redskins to move ahead of the Bills?
It'd be something.
Or if the Patriots, we're going to talk about that later.
Yeah,
They're another team that can move up. But
that's the crazy thing about the draft. I don't know what's going to happen.
Could this be the draft where we have the most? Like, this is the first time I felt like with a draft that we've talked about where all of these segments have been trade. Like, trade, move around. Everyone's going to move. But, like.
Well, that's just because there's 5 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is
5 quarterbacks that are actually, like, good prospects.
Yeah.
Although I know you're on the side of Allen being a bust. It's not like after 3 it falls off. It's no. After 5. Is it really a fall off? Because then you've got Mason Rudolph, you've got Luke Falk, who aren't terrible guys in the second round. The thing with the Packers, I just find it hard to believe, is finding that trade partner that doesn't have a similar need to them, or if they have a similar need, like with the Bucks, can they entice the Bucks to pass on that cornerback need and take more capital? The Bears, can they entice the Bears to make a deal within the division? I think it comes down to if the Bills trade with the Broncos, like we said, because that's a possibility too. If the Bills don't trade with the Broncos, the Packers could try to move up to the Broncos. But then the Broncos could say, no, Denzel's the best on the board. We're going to take him. Although both you and I think Quentin Nelson would be the best on the board. If the Bills move up, though, which what I'm thinking, then it's really with the Packers, I'm either trading up for 6 or I'm hoping that one of the defensive backs is at 9 and I can trade with John Lynch to then get one at 9. Other than that, I don't know if I'm going to be able to trade up.
Yeah, in all actuality, not playing in hypotheticals, with the quarterback situation and the 3 top guys that aren't quarterbacks, Saquon, Chubb, and Nelson, you're not trading with the Bears. So it's really the Bears and after is where you're looking to make a trade. Possibly the Colts. I think probably the Colts are probably the team that would probably be the biggest trade partner with the Packers in the top 8. But outside of that, I don't really see a deal where the Packers move up and snag a Denzel Ward, because I feel like the Colts, even though they are thinking about moving down, if they keep that pick, Denzel Ward's probably their pick. So why would I trade back to take another cornerback if the guy I want in Denzel Ward is there?
Here's the question that I have for you is, I mean, maybe this was also because they were like, oh, we could try to trade up for a Minka or a Derwin James. But do you look back at that deal that Dave and I, wasn't even Mark and I that talked about it. Dave and I on the Onside Kick talked about it way back. Do you look back at that deal earlier this offseason where the Packers sent Demarius Randall, who was a safety, to the Browns to get DeShone Kizer? Like, does that... I know hindsight's 2020. We'll 20 years down the line know if this was good or bad. But right now, I just look at it and I go, you just created yourself a need for a quarterback that, is he the heir apparent to Aaron Rodgers? Probably not, right? He's just a backup in DeShone Kizer. He didn't really show anything special in Cleveland.
Yeah, but he's still young. And
he is still young. But
he hasn't had a great coach. I mean, even though I'm a Notre Dame fan wearing the shirt, Brian Kelly wasn't his guy.
What I'm starting to question with that is, and it's so early to do this, is did you trade for the wrong guy and create a need you didn't have to by doing so? By giving away Demarius Randall, now you need a corner and a safety.
Randall didn't look like the next thing. And I know they drafted him last year, but that was also a Ted Thompson pick. Now with the new regime in there at GM, I think that's the one thing. That was a Ted Thompson pick. Look, coming in, Brian Gunker, I think his name is. I don't want to. I probably messed up his last name. But Gunker coming in wasn't a fan of Randall. Thought he can get a backup quarterback. I think that's what it was. I don't think it was really creating a need. I think he probably saw cornerback already as a need, even with Randall on the roster. So I think that's what it was. And you could at least move on from Randall, get him a fresh start, and at least fill another need by taking up, Kaiser there. And, it wasn't a drastic need, but also you felt like you weren't giving up a ton and trading Demarius Randall.
Because, I mean, do the Packers need to trade up for one of these top corners? No. Or defensive backs?
I think
no.
Do they need to trade up to get one of the top 3? Yes. Do I think they should? No. You know what I'm saying? Because I think if you want Derwin James, Minka, or Denzel Ward, you need to trade up to get those guys. Do I think they should in actuality? No, because Josh Jackson's still there.
And here's the thing I'll ask you is, obviously there's a bit of talent gap in this, and of course these guys, just because I had them mock somewhere doesn't mean they're going to go anywhere. But like the thing, it's tricky where the Packers are in the first round because they're probably not going to get any of these top 4 guys at 14. But if you're the Packers, do you take the approach of, all right, we can't trade up. Let's just take BPA at 14, which for me in my mock draft was Marcus Davenport. And then let's focus on corner in the second round, which on my board, they still had Isaiah Oliver there, and they were able to grab him with their 13th overall pick in the second round.
Looking at their defense, though, I like their front 7. Mike Daniels is a good DT. Kenny Clark proved to be really good. Muhammad Wilkerson
can never have enough pass rush, though, when you're going up against Kirk Cousins, Mitch Trubisky, and Matthew Stafford.
Muhammad Wilkerson's a stud. Kenny Clark was a really good stud. Michael Daniels has been a stud. Clay Matthews, been pretty good before. Jake Ryan was pretty decent when watching him. Blake Martinez was really good. Nick Perry's been good at points. So, again, I really like their front 7. I think you could spend those first 2 picks in the first and second round on cornerbacks or on a safety.
Especially on a guy like Denzel or Derwin.
Yeah, or you go Josh Jackson with that 14th pick, and then you look for safety in the second round. I think that's a total possibility for the Green Bay Packers to attack because, you look at that line, it isn't terrible. You still have Balaga, you still have Lindsley, you still have Picardi. I fuck up his name all the time, whatever, David Picardi. At the left tackle, the wide receiver's a little bit thin because now there's rumors that they don't like Randall Cobb anymore. But you still have Devontae Adams. You picked up Jimmy Graham, so that gives you another option there. You still have Ty Montgomery as well. Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams were okay backs last year. And again, this is a really deep running back draft. So you can still get those guys in the 4th round. You still have Aaron Rodgers. So I think that offense doesn't have those pressing needs. And I think the 2 biggest needs again are cornerback and safety. And we've seen that this is a pretty deep defensive back class, at least in the first 2 rounds. So I think at that second round spot, they could still look to get a safety. So I don't think they necessarily need to trade up to get a defensive back that can help their team. But if they want one of the top 3 guys, I think they do.
And one of the guys I know, Brandon will be upset if I don't mention his name, is on that front 7, they also have in their backup Dean Lowry, who is a Boylan alum like Brandon. He went to school with Dean.
But now also one thing, too, I want to mention this and it'll be the last thing I do. Bringing in, what was his name? Mike Pettin. What's his name?
Mike Pettin? He used to be the coach of the Browns.
Yeah. I'm so bad with the names. You know this about me. I'm so terrible.
Especially Packer names because you kind of disassociate them being embarrassing.
I'm just saying we've known this guy because he's a former Cleveland Brown coach.
Wasn't a great head coach, but probably wasn't given the best opportunity in Cleveland.
But I'm just saying I'm terrible at looking at names and then pronouncing it the right way. So if I'm saying it wrong, my bad.
Yeah, Mike Pettin.
But in Pettin's time at Cleveland, 2014, 2015, they had 2 picks in both the 2014 and 2015 draft in the first round. 2014, 8th overall, they went Justin Gilbert, a corner. Then they went with Johnny Manziel at 22. Then at 2015, the 12th pick, they went Danny Shelton, defensive tackle. Then at 19, they went Cam Irving. Consistently, and now I know he's just the defensive coordinator, but in 2014, 2015, the Browns addressed defensive players first. And if Pettin is really high on any of these guys, like Josh Jackson, I can totally see them going up and taking him at 14. Or if they really get drastic, hell, maybe they do spring for a guy that could possibly change Pettin's defense and help Aaron Rodgers out.
And the one thing, this is a Mark mandated joke that he would get mad if I did not say this in some way, is I know I called Mike Pettin terrible, but at least he has 9 more wins than the Wolverine Hugh Jackson, right? Because Mark always likes to say that Hugh Jackson's only got one win in 2 years with the Browns. But
Pettin also didn't get a good enough shot.
I mean, 7-9 his first year was decent.
It's also the
Browns. I mean, 7-9 is pretty good.
And also what? After 2015, he's been out of the league since getting this job back. So good on Mike Pettin.
Yeah, no, he was out of the he was
not rooting for him though.
He was under the coaching staff of Brian Billick from 2002 to 2007.
Yep.
2008 he was with John Harbaugh. Then Rex Ryan from 2009 to 2012. Doug Marrone in Buffalo in 2013. Head coach of the Browns 14-15, and now he's on the staff of Mike McCarthy. So last thing we're going to do before we move on into the New England Patriots is kind of just final answer. Give me your prediction. What's going to happen with the Packers when the draft rolls around? Are they going to trade up? What's going to happen?
Packers will keep the 14th overall pick, and they will select Josh Jackson, cornerback out of Iowa.
I'm going to say they keep the pick, and I don't know who the hell they're going to take.
Come on.
Like,
you just did a 7-round mock.
Then if I'm going off my 7-round mock, it's Marcus Davenport.
All right.
I'm going.
I don't think they need an edge.
Well, I'm going
so
B. And here's my whole thing with that pick.
Yeah.
Going BPA can never have enough pass rush. Like, that's what I'm looking at there. I mean, I could have had him go Rashaan Evans, but yet again, I could have had him go Derwin James, and I didn't.
Well, that's the thing. If Derwin James is on the board, they're taking him.
I didn't. I have Derwin falling to the Chargers.
Yeah, I think if Derwin's there, they're taking him.
But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think down below. Packer fans, what do you want? Who are you going to trade up with? My big thing is, like I said, and I've said it so many times this segment, Colts, Niners. Those are the only teams that I think you can trade with. And I just don't think there'll be enough dance partners to get this trade going. But let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section.